on. Hello, everyone.
Hi, I'm here too.
Welcome to DnDTime Brews, a silly little show that we run here every other Sunday on the DnDTime Twitch channel, where Pete, he's down there, and me, I'm right here, the homebrew cool stuff for D&D time, which is our big show here.
Yeah, that's it. Jeremy crushed it. He knocked it out of the park.
I always do, Pete. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing very well. I'm excited to talk about bugs and creepy crawlies and all sorts of things in between. I hate bugs too, but I like bug characters? I don't know. I don't like bugs either.
We love leggy boys.
I kind of like the leggy boys, is really what I'm getting at, and what I'm all about is leggy boys. How's everyone? Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Hi out there to you guys. We got V Bunny, we got Vassal Zeju, we got, I can say it perfectly every time now, we have Bionic Sheba, we got Reflected 10-8. Hello to all, it is good to see you this evening. There's some discussion of ice cream. Who doesn't like ice cream? Not anyone that I want to hang out with.
I guess unless you're lactose intolerant, in which case, God bless.
Oh, well, in that case, I feel like those people do like ice cream, they just don't know.
They can't. Yeah. Is different, yeah. We're
Jeremy,
talking about... Oh, sorry, go ahead, Pete.
Do you have a brew?
Oh, yeah, no. Today I'm drinking Captain Morgan spiced rum with Coke.
Because today I have, the first time ever, a really good beer.
Do me ears deceive me, Peter.
Yeah, I have a real one. This isn't middle of the shelf. This is the bottom of the top of the shelf, which is this is a Dogfish Head wood-aged. The title of the beer is Bitches Brew. I apologized for my swear. It's just the name of the beer, which is a 9% alcohol content. It is old. It is a stout. It is got honey and wood-aged flavor in it. It is extremely good, and I'm going to drink one right now.
Now, Pete, when you say Bitches Brew, is that a pun on Witches Brew, or is that a pun on Witches Brew that was made by Miles Davis?
I was going to say, I think it's a jazz thing for sure.
Okay, cool. So it's a reference to the jazz reference to witches.
Yes.
And witches are in Dungeons and Dragons, so it works so great.
Yes.
Boy.
So today we're going to be talking about, as we mentioned, some leggy boys, or bug. Werebugs is kind of like probably the colloquial term that we would call them, but we're calling them the much fancier Entothropes. Ento being derived from the Latin word for insects, and thropes like lycanthropy, but bug werewolves essentially. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. There's a huge array of kind of sources to draw on when we're talking about bugs. When we brainstormed these a while ago, I know there was a lot of cool ideas floating around, and a lot of just different bugs that we could use to inspire our choices. So I'm excited to see what we end up coming up with today. I don't know if we'll end up getting through, too many of these subraces. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff we could do for this. But I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting, right? Because bugs are such a diverse... Well, bugs and bug-adjacent creatures. I say because spiders are not bugs, they're arachnids. But, they're bug-adjacent, and they're going to be in this because people want to play spider people. But they're a very diverse group of creatures, right? Yeah, I mean, there's grasshoppers, there's moths and butterflies,
There's ants. Spiders, which aren't technically bugs, but we're going to probably make a spider one anyway, because I'm sure everyone wants to play that.
So yeah, it's a very, very diverse group of things we're going to be putting into one cohesive and good class option. Hopefully good. It's going to be good. I know.
Yeah.
We're good at this. Pete. And chat, you're great at this too. So I see there's lactose-free ice cream. You see, there is lactose-free ice cream, but is it as good? And then the second, honey is bee vomit. Do you put bee vomit on your ice cream, or was that an unrelated statement?
My beer is brewed with bee vomit. Highly reflected 10-8 here. Don't make me angry. You won't like me when I'm angry. Shapeshifts into wood grub. Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna do a grub bug lichen, but maybe if that's what you guys want to see. I don't know what that would be
weird.
because they don't have appendages. I can't picture that.
The issue, right, when you're making a race option for 5th edition D&D, there's like a very specific bodily form that the creatures have to have. They need to have at least 2 arms and at least 2 legs and a head. If they don't have that, then there are just class options that just don't make any sense. Like, you can't be a fighter who wields swords and shields if you don't have arms, right? Your ranger can't have a bow if you don't have arms. So, oh yeah, Jamie, I'm racist for that, apparently. But there's some basic assumptions that go into the classes of D&D that we have to kind of work around. So grubs, maybe not. We'll see.
And yes, Jeremy has created the trappings behind him, maneuvered them such that the creature can be seen. The beast.
Yeah, Data, he's being a good boy. I'm very proud of him actually using this now that the stream started. I was really hoping he would. I didn't actually even notice he was up there. He's been doing this thing where now that he can, he just leaps onto my shoulder and startles the shit out of me. But
I'm just waiting to hear like the string of curses that come as you get like attacked from behind. But for now,
it'll be when I'm mid-drink. I'll just be like, and then it'll be awful.
So as always, we're going into one of these brews. We've brainstormed already this a little bit, so we're going to talk about what we brainstormed last time a little. Jeremy has put together a nice little list of relevant features and traits from both other classes and from monsters and things that make sense for bugs. Because always one of the first things you want to do when you're homebrewing something is look at your ideas and see what D&D has already done and use the resources that are available to you. But before we do any of that, Jeremy, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that isn't going to be necessarily class options, but a little bit more about some of the stuff that's going to be like flavor and get a little bit of an idea for what these creatures are like. Because for one thing, we've been calling them lichens, but we need to kind of decide how much we want to lean into that lycanthropy vibe, and if we want to make it the curse, do things like vulnerability to silvered weapons, or only ability to be harmed by silver, which obviously we can't put physical damage immunity on a race. That would be absolutely outrageous. And we also have to decide if we want to, in any way make it transformational. And I think the answer to both of those things is no.
Yeah.
So we want to decide what these things are.
The thing about lycanthropes in 5th edition D&D, for the most part, this isn't true for all of them, but if you look at like a wereboar, right, or a were-tiger, or a werewolf, the most iconic, right? All of them have 3 forms, right? They have a form which is like, in the case of werewolf, a wolf, a human, and a werewolf. They have 3 different forms they can swap into. It's complicated, right? It can get a little messy, like understanding all their abilities, when they can use them, and such. And really, the forms don't do a lot. There's really not a lot of difference.
It's mostly just you can either be a wolf. There's no disadvantage to being a werewolf, basically. You just always want to be a werewolf.
Outside the fact that you're evil. But
yeah. You can even just not be evil.
We're probably going to shy away from that because there's not a lot of reason for us to add that extra complication. And there are lycanthropes, like, for example, take the jackal were, right? Is a were creature, which is kind of like it's a were jackal, right? It's said the other way, but the same idea. And it has one form, and that's the I'm a jackal were. So we're going to go that route, where there's just one form for these things. It's going to make things way more simple, because there's already going to be so many moving parts and complexity in this class, because we want to put, 5 sub-races? I'm sorry, I said class, I meant race. 5 sub-races?
What we brainstormed 6.
Yeah, maybe 6? Maybe 7 if you guys in the chat come up with more stuff?
Yeah, I assume that we won't, and maybe we can come up with a couple of categories. Like, we don't need to do a moth and a butterfly, because probably using either of those would work well enough for the other.
I see Max Meister is asking for the little template we have up here. You know what, Max? I can, in a moment, I can post that in the Discord lobby, and then you guys can take a peek at it and then do what you like. So give me a couple minutes to get that going once we get started and Pete starts leading the conversation.
And I can do that now. So, Jeremy, do you want to start going through and talking about just the general
there's one
before
other
we talk
thing we need to
subraces?
talk. There's one other big thing we need to talk about, right? And that's the silvered effects.
Oh, yes.
Which are kind of iconic. You want to talk about that?
Well, yeah, absolutely. The silvered effect is something that's specific to werewolves and just generally the curse of lycanthropy in the world of D&D and in most popular media where you encounter werewolves, and that is that a weapon that is silvered or made of silver in some way or just contains traces of it is the only thing that can harm these creatures. So naturally they have physical damage immunities to all non-silvered weapons or non-magical weapons. So if you go up and try and stab a werewolf with the sword just doesn't pierce through their skin. Obviously, that's something that we cannot give player characters, as that would be so much more powerful than anything else that exists in any race. So we can't really go with that immunity to physical damage option. And at the same time, if we want to do vulnerability to silver, that is a little bit more of a it's a little bit more of a specific counterpoint. There's not a lot of creatures that kind of walk around with silvered weapons, so it would be more like an option for the DM if a player encounters a creature that is, or a monster that is specifically hunting creatures of their variety, they would have these kind of weapons. So it's not a huge downgrade, but it also is something that we have to decide if in the flavor and lore that we're creating right now, because we're going to be, I have a pretty good idea of what the Entothropes are in the context of the land of DnDTime. These were a thing I created for a specific adventure and have a lot of plans for in the world of DnDTime, but I don't think we need to tether ourselves to what is inside of my brain, and we want to build something here that can be, fun and interesting for all games. And I don't know if we want to put that vulnerability to silver in, because I think it's just like it has a little bit of a flavor to it, but I don't know if it's necessarily like, are we going with a purist kind of lycanthrope?
Well, that's interesting, right? And I'm interested to see what you, the players, feel about this, because from a DnDTime perspective, I think there are actual circumstances where it could come up, right? Maybe there is a silver golem that exists in an adventure, and that could really be relevant, and that would suck to be vulnerable to a silver golem, especially since golems generally hit really.
Really like a truck, yeah, that'd be brutal.
Now, on the other hand, outside of DnDTime, I think it actually would be really cool if they had a vulnerability to silvered attacks, just silvered attacks, not
magical.
Just because that would still tie into that theme, right? That these are lycanthropes to a degree. They're a different form of lycanthropy, but they still have it. And I don't know. I just think it'd be neat. I like the idea of a player playing a werelycan in a campaign, right? And they piss off the townspeople, and the townspeople hire some Templars to come and kill them.
I'm picturing that's what I was thinking.
Cool.
Vulnerability to silver is less of a weakness and more of a kind of a tool for the DM to tell some interesting stories.
And I like Vasil Zeju saying in chat, well, as long as they have something that makes up for it. And that's the thing, right? Vulnerability to silver really is not very applicable. It almost never would come up in a game. But I don't know. I like the idea, right? I think that it's like a ribbon, right? It doesn't actually, except it's a bad ribbon.
Yeah, it's like a bad ribbon.
It's a black ribbon. You get the last place black ribbon kind of posted on you instead of the nice blue ribbon. So it's whatever you guys think. In the end, I think we'll keep this discussion open in the chat, but that's a maybe.
Yeah, and the in terms of something that would be equivalent in terms of making up for it. So if you're giving vulnerability, which I'm fine with, you'd need a resistance to go with it. I don't know if you do need a resistance because, for example, a flat resistance to anything, and there's not really any resistance that the bug lichen I can think of off the top of my head would naturally have. I don't think of bugs as being particularly strong against an element, and bludgeoning slashing or piercing, all of those are way too powerful to give a character. So the only kind of resistance we could do would be something that was as niche as the silver ones. For example, like you have resistance against attacks made with golden weapons, which doesn't really have any place in the lore that I can think of to put in.
As soon as you said she said it the exact
Oh,
same
that's
moment
funny.
in chat. Oh, I love that. No,
Great
you can't give
minds.
him resistance to bludgeoning damage. That's
Yeah,
such
that'd
a
be-
common thing.
Think of it this way: resistant to bludgeoning damage is like, for starters, you have to take half from falling damage.
Here's the thing, right? If we wanted to give them resistance to bludgeoning damage, we could. We just give them no other features and another huge penalty to do that. Right?
It would be
and that
outrageous.
It's not fun, because then it sucks when you're against non-bludgeoning damage, and it's overpowered when you're against bludgeoning. It wouldn't feel good, I think, for the player or the other. Reflected Senate, transformation is an action like the Fiend Walk. I'm actually not super familiar with the Fiend Warlock's transformation. They have a transformation? Or
the werewolves and such?
No, Lance was saying, or Reflected Senate in chat, transformation is an action, like the Fiend Lock. And or maybe the Fiend Lock was a reference to something else, I'm not positive. Lance is actually asking, how lycanthropic are they? Are they humans turned into this, or were they born this way? I think the answer is they were born this way, right? This is a race of lycanthropic bug creatures.
Yeah, and I think it could be both. I think by nature of it, if we're going with the curse of lycanthropy, it is possible for a human to become it, but I think it's also, a lot of them are born, just like a lot of werewolves are born to other werewolves. I think, they have a lot of very, in terms of, as we're going to start probably talking about things like alignment, and because I think that's the territory we're going to be getting into soon, I imagine these creatures as very lawful and having very close clustered communities like insects do. And so they probably, if you're one of these creatures, you probably live in a group of others like yourself. And we're born to it.
I've just put this kind of silver vulnerability on here as a maybe. I highlight it in red. We can come back to this at the end, and we'll see what you guys think as the chat kind of continues to chew on this and think about it. But let's move on to something else. Another important topic. Like Pete was saying, we need to come up with a baseline for this creature's description. Because we want to do one race with a bunch of sub-races, right?
Yes.
So I think, what do we want to start on? Maybe an ability score, maybe a primary ability score?
Primary ability score sounds great, and I think that would be one of the 3 physicals. And I'm leaning towards Dex, although I don't know if that's necessarily something that, because the thing about Dex is it doesn't necessarily feel good on every character, and the obvious one I think we could pick would be Con, because everyone would benefit from that, even though we have a bunch of different sub-races, although Dex is also good.
I'm thinking strength. Because bugs, one of their iconic things, right, is they're disproportionately strong for their size. Some even more so.
Yeah.
But Lance is saying Dex, Scuttle, V-Bunny saying Dex.
Yeah, I'm thinking the quick darting.
Well, I was just thinking, right, if we have the main race only give a +1, right?
Yeah, I was definitely feeling that way.
Then for the bee or the bee folk, maybe we give them with their flight a +2 to their Dex.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
That way we can still take these...
Oh, you're thinking strength +1? I was thinking Dex +1 for everybody. And then a +2 to strength for, say, the ant. But, I mean, I was also can see your viewpoint on that a lot. And I also think Con is reasonable, but strength or Dex seems
we're gonna handle
more
Con
flavorful.
With a natural armor.
Yeah, I think they seem a little bit more flavorful, strength and Dex.
Okay.
I could go either way. There's also the option of coming back to it, and I don't want to go that. Wait, why don't we do?
The chat's pretty clear. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Pete.
Why don't we do both of these? Pick strength or Dex.
Oh. Okay, I think that'd be fine.
Yeah.
Chat, do you guys think that's cool? Well, no. The problem with that, if we give them +1 to Dex here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we can't give another one of the sub-races a +1 to Dex. And if we say Dex or Strength, then we can't give any sub-races either of those.
Yeah, well, it would be...
We can't just be like, this is the one race that gets a +3 to one of their attack scores.
Yeah, well, we have to do it a little bit awkward, where we'd have to give it a +1 to strength there, and then the next one give it it gets a +1 to strength and a +1 to something else.
What if we said, I don't know.
Are you thinking Dex +1 and Strength +1, and then one more +1 on their subrace?
Yeah, we could do that. That gets a little complicated. There's only one race that has 3 +1s, and it's
the half elf.
Triton. Half elf gets a +2 and 2 +1.
And then 2 +1s, yeah.
Yeah. So I think what we'll do here is we'll just say, and this is just a placeholder. We might come back to this. We'll say Strength +1, Dex +1, and +1 based on subrace. So that way we can get that kind of 3 of a kind feel that makes the race overall a lot more versatile. What do you think? Sound pretty good?
Yeah, I'm interested in that. I kind of like, doing some of these odder ability score arrangements. I think it's a fun place to branch out a little bit on these sub races we've been doing and these races we've been doing. So I'm cool with that.
She was saying con because it's generic and applicable enough. We could.
Yeah, well, that's why I was saying con too, but I don't really want to build it because it would work well mechanically. I want to do it because it feels like it's right for what it is, So, but con would be the most logical one from a mechanical standpoint to give them.
Agreed. So I guess the next thing, right? These are medium creatures. We're not going to go into any weird size shenanigans here.
Yeah, I think we have enough to mess around with without playing around with speeds and sizes.
And let's take 1 second to just put out as a statement. These are anthropomorphized versions of these creatures. You're not literally playing an ant. You're playing an ant-like humanoid creature.
Yep.
So it's a little different for these. So size, medium. Yep. Now we got the question on speed. So I don't think they have a swim speed by default.
Nope.
Just any of them.
I think they have climb speeds and fly speeds and all kinds of crazy speeds. I think movement is going to be one of the big things that we're really kind of playing with on these guys.
So as a general kind of chassis here, I think maybe we start with just just regular 30 feet, and then maybe some races can get other things.
I agree. That's what I was thinking too.
I get the idea we're going to have 2 categories of sub-races, climbing sub-races and flying sub-races, right?
Yeah, you can make even an argument for a jumper, like a grasshopper or something, but...
I think they'll have that too.
Yeah.
But I think it's a different category there.
Yeah.
It's its own shtick.
Yeah. Just everyone's got a funny way to move.
Mm-hmm.
You have your rolling subrace, like your pillbug and your dung beetle.
One just gets crawl. I think all of them can crawl.
Oh, and one of them has a 30-foot burrow speed.
Yeah, burrow speed is going to be something we can think about, but I don't know if we're quite ready to touch that.
Burrow speed deserves its own race built around it, rather than just as a one thing on one subrace on a bigger thing.
Lance, you're right. Diving spiders, I completely forgot about. But anywho, let's take a minute. Let's talk about age. So I think these age, alignment, and size are going to be the 3 things that are going to stick between all of the sub races. Because if these dramatically change between every sub race, we don't have a class and sub races. We just have 5 races.
Yep. Which, to a degree, the Florins ended up becoming that a little bit. But I definitely am down to keep these things consistent about them. For age, there's the question of... I think there's the idea of whether or not other races can kind of become these things. And I think we just kind of assume that these things are going to age at the race of what they are, but they're all humans.
Yeah, so I think what we can just say are, and actually let me change the name from template to Entothrope.
To Entothrope.
And we can just say a statement about physical maturity and social maturity. So we can just say Entothropes. Whoops, I spelled Entothrope totally wrong. Entropy.
Entropy.
There we go.
I was doing that before when I was writing it.
Entothropes.
Google kept telling me I wanted to say entropy. But I knew what I wanted.
Maturity. What do you think? By age 10? I imagine they grow up a little faster.
They become big bug boys quicker. Yeah, I like that.
And maybe they Even though there's,
I could be in for like maybe I don't know. I picture these things as having a reasonable age about them. Like I can see one of these things living to be 100 years old. Like I'm picturing like the ancient kind of like moth queen or something like that. That's the chieftain of her tribe or the queen bee, um, living for a longer period of time. So I would be down to say up to like 100 years.
so yeah, well, so I like that. So Entothropes get your physical and social maturity by age 10, and can live up to, what did you say, 300 years?
Why
I think
not?
dwarves are pretty comparable.
Yeah, I'm into that.
Um,
I didn't want to go like a quick lifespan with these guys, but I'm definitely down to go bigger.
yeah, so I think that's a pretty good one, and we can just leave it like that. There's some races go into way more detail, others go into way less. I don't think we need to go into too much more.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, so we have the basics there, and now we're on to the alignment. So where do these
this is
things
the fun one.
stand?
I think these things are. I think these guys are lawful. Absolutely. They have very regimented societies. They work in hives or hills or whatever the particular nature of their Entothrope clan is, and have very strong like societal roles for individuals. Entothropes are probably born with purpose, I think would be one of the defining things about them. In the same way ants are determined to be worker bees, or I said ants are determined to be worker bees, so I'm mixing my bug metaphors.
Bees, but I know what you're saying.
Yes.
There's the queen ant, there's the worker ants, there's
precisely.
What are the princess ants that fly around?
There's scouts, and there's all sorts of things about bugs. They have strict social hierarchies.
So Entothropes are known for their highly rendered societies, known as hives. They're accustomed to strict social hierarchies, and are almost always lawful.
Purple 13 says the president.
the president, indeed.
That's going to show up in DnDTime 100%. Now that you've said that joke.
Oh, 100%. So I guess we talked about their standing on law and chaos. The next question is, what are their beliefs on? Do they have any other beliefs? Right, peace, industry, justice, conquest.
Industry sounds right to me for sure. I don't think they necessarily have a standing on good and evil.
Yeah. So while they tend to have no particular standing on good and good and evil, Entothrope societies are industrious and always working towards the betterment of their home.
Yeah, I think so as well. Sheba has a great idea here. Can they be known as colonies? I feel like that's a bit more general than hives. For sure.
That's a good idea.
I think that's a good idea as well.
It's a lot more applicable.
Yeah.
Hello. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, you can go.
I was going to say hello, Eradicatix. How are you?
Eradicatix. I was looking at it and I was trying to think about how I pronunciate it.
That's how you'd say
but
that.
I think you crushed it.
Welcome to the stream. It's good to see you. We're making bug people.
Yeah. Buggy boys.
Yum, 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 yum. Cool. So we have a basic idea of alignment. And of course, these are general terms.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have to play a lawful character playing an Entothrope. But there's some cool context for if you play an Entothrope character that is against that grain, right? You are the rogue worker bee who wishes to be the new queen. right? That just sounds rad to me.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like different societies, I don't think when they say they don't have a tendency towards good and evil, I'm not picturing that as there aren't good and evil individuals in these societies. I'm picturing it as there's just not one particular thing. Like I picture the very evil society of spider lichens that live in their nest with all of like the spiders on webs, building elaborate kind of cities of silk and string. That'd be a terrifying and evil place. That sounds like to me.
That'd be a
But
very good place.
it could be good too, but spiders are stereotypically evil.
Oh yeah, that's a great one. An ant queen who's left the colony to form their own. See, that's a cool, not lawful character that's still absolutely within the confines of their society too, which is neat.
I think there's a lot of I think there's a lot of like actual natural precedent for that character idea. I think that's actually something that happens.
Yeah, no, that's exactly why. I think that was a great point to bring up. So
Next Mentor says, I wish they weren't like lycanthropes, but full-on bugs. It would be cool. Well, are you saying like, yeah, they're not
full-on bugs. It's just like
they're not transforming.
Yeah, anything in 5th edition has to be humanoid. Like, I'm sorry, has to have a roughly human shape. The closest thing to not that is the centaur, and that's still literally just half a human stuck on a horse body. Just because the game has some core mechanics that it assumes with that, right? As cool as it'd be to be like a Hercules beetle, which I think a Hercules beetle head would be sick for one of these guys.
Oh yeah, that was what I wanted to do too.
You can't just be a Hercules beetle.
It would just be like,
how do you
you can't be a class. It's just like, and then it just breaks down where it's just like, oh, I'm a horse.
Yeah,
I'm just a horse. I got hooves and I run around.
Which there are games for that, and that can be a ton of fun. But D&D 5th edition D&D specifically, I don't think is quite that freeform. There's a bit more framework.
V-Bunny's saying, yeah, the no transformation on the Yuan-Ti. Yeah, the Yuan-Ti are very humanoid, though, and they're kind of, in their appearance.
No, if you look at the Yuan-Ti Pureblood, which is the playable Yuan-Ti, V-Bunny, they're human. They're basically just humans with a few scales on them.
Yeah, they're actually less...
They are not the Yuan-Ti in the Monster Manual.
They're, like, less snake-like than even, like, say, like, the Aarakocra are bird-like. They're, like, very human.
Yeah.
Very good.
Let's talk about size. Entothropes. Entothropes stand between some amount and some other amount, feet tall. And then we can describe their kind of body and weight, which I think are very disparate based on the subrace. And their size is medium.
Yeah, I think we can get a pretty big range here. Mention that. 6? Yeah, I could even picture like a Mantis or a Hercules beetle being like 7 feet tall, like a big boy.
So we'll say 4 to 7 feet tall.
Yeah, I like that big kind of disparity in range.
So we'll say stand between 4 and 7 feet tall, with their bulk varying substantially based. Cool. We want to say actually give guidelines for the different weights. Because I feel like, you'll have one person be like, yeah, I'm a medium creature. I'm a butterfly. I'm 40 pounds. It's like, that's really, really freakishly light for, like, a living creature.
Do you want to do that on the...
I think we can just say... we can just say, instead of based on their subrace, based on their form.
I think we can just say a minimum weight.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it matters if we put a maximum weight, because most, like, if there's some players saying something outrageous, then the DM can just be like, no, you're not 3,000 pounds.
Cool. Yeah, with their own weight of 70 pounds.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
I think that works really well, actually. That's a good thought there. More human than a human dragon sorcerer. Yeah, exactly, Lance. There's Yuan-Ti. They're very, very human. So at this point, when we're looking at stat blocks, we can start to look at their languages and their other race features. So it looks like we're going to just ditch the silvered vulnerability. I like it, though, so I'm going to keep it there.
Yeah, Keith, I like it, too. I don't know if we'll hold on to it for now, at least.
Let's talk about languages. You can read, speak, and write common, and, well, let's pick a language.
I have a language for the people that is Yeah, this is just a thing that's never come up in D&D time. But I always imagined that they spoke their own language of like that's more gesture based with like tapping their feet on the ground and like moving their legs in certain ways, and it allows them to convey information very quickly.
Interesting. I was thinking like pheromone, like smell.
Oh, that also works. You know, bees vomit into each other's mouths to communicate. So I was, that's a thing. Uh, I was, yeah, I always imagined is like they kind of have these like hand gestures and stuff, and it's like a rudimentary language that's not designed to convey like necessarily emotions and complex ideas, but it allows simple ideas and instructions to happen very quickly, and that's like a flavor thing that.
Oops. So actually, we'll just put that in there. We'll call that, instead of endothrope communication, insectoid communication. And what we can say with that, right, is...
oh, you're thinking that is like a feature?
Yeah, we'll just make it a really simple ribbon, right?
Simple ribbon.
You can communicate simple thoughts or simple concepts and emotions through a series with other entothropes by means of clicks, gestures, and sense. Right? I think that's pretty straightforward.
That's cool.
And maybe we give a range with that. So maybe within 30 feet.
Yeah.
And maybe that could be cool, right? So like you have characters that are sneaking up and it's a party of entothropes and they're just totally silently just completely communicating through their hand gestures.
Yeah. That sounds very cool.
Yeah, I think that's neat. Cool. So I like that a lot. It's a nice, straightforward little ribbon that I think helps tie him in.
Languages, you can speak, read, and write Common, and...
We can just say Common. Why
yeah,
not?
Sure.
You don't have to give them other stuff. We could give them, like, Undercommon?
Undercommon? Primordial?
I don't think Primordial. Elemental.
Yeah, Sylvan's not right either.
Yeah,
there's no language that I would...
just Common, right?
Speak, read, and write Common, and...
You were saying a language of your choice. I don't think we need it.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
We have to worry.
Well, I mean, we could do language of their choice because human. If we're assuming that most of these are human, it would make sense that. Well, no, because we're assuming that most of these are born to the Entothrope. So yeah, I don't know. I think I'm fine with it. You can speak, read, and write Common, and then you have this other feature.
Yep. So I like this. Just a nice little feature. We actually got to move that up because I comes before all these. Whoop. So let's start talking about their actual race feature.
All right.
Core race features. You mind if I take over for a second?
Yeah, start it off. Start us off, Jeremy.
The first thing I think we're all thinking about, right, is chitin. Shells, armor. That's a very iconic thing across almost all bugs. Like a handful don't have it, like grubs don't, but we're not doing grubs. And bees really don't too much. But I mean, you look at spiders, you look at, let's just list our buggies. What are our buggies?
Spider boys. We have spider boys, we got ants. Leggy boys, as we call them around here. We got bees.
Mm-hmm.
We got butterflies. We got mantises.
Okay.
We got grasshoppers. And we got beetles.
Okay. So looking at all those, right? Beetles, grasshoppers, mantis, ants, spiders, all of those are chitin-shelled, like armored creatures. The butterflies and the bees are not. Ooh, I like this. She was saying that can see or hear you, to add that on to the insectoid communication. I almost like the idea that because you can do it with like sense.
There's so many there's so many ways.
Well, we can just say within 30 feet of you that can see, hear, or smell you. Through clicks, gestures, or... I like that. I think that's a great addition there. What is a thrycreen based off of? Great question, Farfel. What is a thrycreen? I actually didn't look at the thrycreen.
The thri-crane are... I don't know if they're based on a particular bug.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of anti. They seem pretty me. They're a little...
They're psionics. They have psionics. Do they have like a literal hive mind or something like that?
I'm not positive.
They have a chameleon move.
I love Shiva. I'm 3,000 pounds, and okay, you can't have a mount. None of your allies can ever drag you if you're injured. Also, that bridge you're on, it just broke, and you're falling to death. Shit, I'm not 3,000 pounds anymore. Oh, I see Diadem showed up. Hello, Diadems. How are you? Insectoid is a language. I think we handled insectoid enough with this insectoid communication. It gives it a little bit more, I think, what do you call it?
Joie de vivre.
Yeah, exactly. Can they be cured from converting them into humans with removed curse / greater restoration? Reflective Tiny asks. And the answer is no.
Yeah, they can't.
Born lycanthrope, always a lycanthrope. That's why they can't change forms. That's why they can't do any of that stuff.
And you could make an argument that you could do so with the wish spell, but if you're high enough level to be casting a wish spell, then that kind of stuff is okay.
You can already do that.
To not write into the
You could just make them into a potted plant instead. That's also fine.
But yeah, that's the only way to get, in terms of like regular werewolves, the only way to revert a werewolf that was born as a werewolf is through the wish spell. So that's not needed to write. So
yeah, we got our creatures. Do we want to put a natural on everything or just on them?
I agree that natural armor doesn't make a lot of sense for bees and butterflies, but I think that it's okay. I think them having that one kind of chitinous thing that unites all of them, even though it's not necessarily assigned to those bugs, it's not the bugs, it's what the Entothropes are.
Let's take another step back for a minute. Of all of these, butterflies are the least, like, one of these things is not like the other. Do we want to include butterflies?
Of them, the one that I am least interested in building is definitely the butterflies.
Well, I mean, forget about least or most interested in. I'm just thinking in terms of fitting in, because we want to make a cohesive...
Yeah, well, I mean, I would argue that the spider is the one that's the...
I don't necessarily know. They each have, like, ants have a lot of legs, spiders have a lot of legs, ants have chitinous...
Well, in terms of, like, I'm talking more in flavor-wise, just because they're not insects, but...
I think that's I see that as more of a technicality.
Yeah, well, it's in the same way. It also bothered me when we put fungals in with the florins. So that's just something that I have, that's just something that is in the back of my mind when I look at these guys. Wait, are these... Oh, those go... I saw them.
Wait a minute, they all have the same number of legs except spiders? How many legs do butterflies have?
I think they have 6 legs.
Holy shit, really?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even know that. I guess it makes sense.
That's why they're insects.
Interesting. Well, so I think what we can do, right, is I think the two real options here, I'm going to put these guys down at the bottom, the bees and butterflies. I'm just going to put the butterflies down at the bottom. We could either cut the butterfly... Oops, I went too far. We either cut the butterflies... We could have the chitinous shell be a specific feature that just 4 of the 7 classes.
I would almost rather do it as kind of a superior dark vision sort of feature. And
I'm not sure what you mean.
I'm getting to it. Where the other classes, like in the elves for the drow, they put an amendment on dark vision. I would rather for the butterfly make an amendment on natural armor, like they have this instead of this, and give them some other kind of equivalent feature that feels a little bit more right, rather than go through and put it on every subrace, the natural armor. And again, before that, I'd even rather cut out the butterfly. I think it's okay to just cut one. We got 7 of these things to go through.
Yeah, I think we come back to butterflies. So, oh, geez, I just broke everything, guys. Okay, so we'll come back to butterflies another time. Maybe they'll be their own race at some point, but I just don't think they really fit in with the rest of the what we're building right now. So let's start talking about these individual race, or actually, do we have any core features? Right, we said natural armor.
Because I think it's just a good idea to have that. They need something real that can bind them all, and I think natural armor is that thing.
Your insectoid heritage. Yeah. I don't know, something something kite in a shell. I spelled chitin wrong. All right. So something kite in a shell. And how do we want to handle that? Because natural armors have been done so many different ways for races. Call it carapace instead. That's a way better.
Yeah, agreed.
Thank you, Card Pocket. Also good to see you, bud.
Hi.
Well, let's start scrolling down because I pulled a couple of feet of things here. So let me just scroll past down to some of the bugs. Right, we look at the giant spider. Giant spiders have a natural armor of 14. Scroll down a little further, and there is the Ankeg, another chitinous, fairly low CR monster. Armor class, natural armor 14. The female Steeder, another bug monster. I think it's from Out of the Abyss, but it was reprinted in Tome of Foes. Over there. Natural armor 14. Giant Wasp doesn't have natural armor because it has a speed thing instead. But you look at all these, and the natural armors are all 14. So how do we want to handle those?
I personally would be more inclined to go the traditional race natural armor route, just because I think it feels a little better when it scales for you, because as long as you have that +1 bonus to dex, you get from what the standard is 13 to 14 anyway.
You know what we could do? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, you can. You seem like you have an idea.
Card Pocket hit something really cool in the chat, right? 12 plus dex. Right, you were just saying the same idea.
Yeah, I was thinking 13 plus dex.
But it just made me think, what if we do it 12 plus dex or constitution?
Why not?
Because if I'm thinking of like a beetle, I don't think of that as fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't want this big beetle character, right, to have the crappiest armor.
Yeah, I figured if anything, when we're going to do the Beetle, we might do the same thing like I was saying before with Superior Dark Vision, and just give them like a turtle style turtle shell.
I hate exceptions.
D&D is built around exceptions.
Well, it is, but when your core mechanic is let's make an exception for 3 of our 7 race, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Doesn't bother me. But to each their own. I'm fine with doing the Constitution thing. I think that's just a creative mechanic.
And let's actually, that was from something. So it was trust me, it wasn't a creative mechanic. I'm not good at creative mechanics.
Fair enough.
So let's pull from the lizard folk. What do they have? Natural armor. Well, so we'll just say, I just pasted that right in. So instead of you have an insectoid carapace, you have a chitinous carapace or exoskeleton. Well, you aren't wearing armor. Your AC is, and we'll just say 12 plus your dexterity modifier or constitution modifier. You can use your natural armor to determine your AC if the armor, and shield benefits apply normal. Cool. So it's the exact same idea here, just a little nicer.
Yeah.
Whoopsie. Ah, man, I'm messing everything up. So we don't want to say your natural armor because we actually aren't using the term natural armor. Carapace.
Use your carapace. Yep.
And I can't type.
And depending on where we put power in some of these subraces, I would even be down to go up to a 13 on that.
Yeah, exactly. My always.
Shoot low and then.
We'll keep it low to give us lots of room.
Yeah, exactly. And if we need power later, that's an easy place to just put it. Like
exactly.
Can just hit the button.
Awesome. I spelled exoskeleton. Thank you, Sheep. Exoskeleton.
So at this point, I would think
Jericho's here. Hello. I'm sorry, Pete.
Oh, no problem. Hello, Jericho. Wait, I don't see. Oh, there's Jericho. I see him now in the chat. Hello. I would be inclined to say that we want either one more or no more features for the alls of them.
Well, let's start. So last time when we were brainstorming, we went through each of the races and we pulled a bunch of brainstormed concepts for each of the creatures. I think what might be cool is let's look through these and see if there are anything else that really is cohesive, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Spiders, obviously, the spider web abilities, a spider climb. That might be something we could put on all of them. Spider climb. I know you were mentioning it earlier, Pete. And
yeah, I had mentioned that as a possibility.
maybe. We could just put a climb speed on everything.
Yeah, I think a climb speed for everything. But I mean, then again, there's also like if we're gonna do the bee, then the bee is very clearly.
I still think it'd be okay for a bee to have a climb speed.
I mean, it wouldn't hurt it. It just wouldn't like add any power to it.
Yeah, it's fine though. I think
it does not like bad for it to have it,
right? Rather than giving all the other options a climb. Well, so what if there's a situation where the bee can't climb for some reason, right? Or can't fly, right? Maybe there's no air. Which is like that's a very real possibility.
It's possible. It's possible.
So climb is option. I think spider climb we'll keep for spiders specifically. Sound about right?
Yeah, for sure. The spider I think has to have spider climb.
So extra leggies, that's one I think needs to go on there because everything has extra legs.
And do we want to play around with an extra limbs feature?
Yeah, I think we can do that pretty easily, and I have some cool ideas for that already. I've been throwing around in the head. So extra limbs, everything gets a climb speed. What else do we have? Looking at all these other ones, their key features don't really. Armor, but
there's some natural weapons there, but
yeah, but not everything has them. And
yeah,
the ones that do have them are kind of unique.
I would say, yeah. I guess the Mantis one in particular is going to be funky.
We'll figure that out maybe, or we'll just cut it one or the other. Hopefully, we keep it. I like the Mantis people.
Yeah, I do too. I think the Mantis. Also, that feels like I can picture the Mantis D&D character. Like that. The Mantis monk feels like it was made to be a D&D character.
I agree. So scrolling back up, let's talk about these entities. So, they have their. What was their feature? We're going to give them a climb speed, climb, and probably 30 feet.
She was saying exoskeleton. I would say that's kind of like in the same vein as the carapace.
No, he was correcting my typo.
Oh,
exoskeleton, and he was making fun of me.
Okay, I thought you were saying like in addition. I thought you were saying in addition to carapace, exoskeleton. I was like, I think carapace does it pretty well.
I just want to point out, guys. I have this beautiful cat tower I've installed for data. He is lying on the ground 5 feet over here. Just sitting there like a dummy. Why he do this? But what else did we say? Climb speed.
Yeah, climb speed.
That's it.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, extra legs.
Oh, right, extra legs. Okay, that's gonna be the big one. That's gonna be a pretty big one. I think.
That's a chunky feature for sure.
Extra legs or extra limbs?
Or extra limbs. Extra arms, I would even call it.
Well, I think. Right? We could. Do we want to call them extra arms or extra limbs?
We could call them also. We could also call it. Oh, I guess if the spiders weren't on there, we could say 6-legged, which would have been a good name. I've built a spider before, and I've made it a feature for it called 8-legged, which.
It's a good name.
Yeah.
So I think we'll just call it extra limbs for now. Maybe we come back to it. But what does it say? Well, I guess, right, what do we want these to do? Can they use them perfectly fine? Obviously, we don't want these creatures to just have 4 attacks by default. That doesn't make sense for players here.
I've built this feature before. Would you like me to read you how I did it in the past time?
I mean, please share with the class.
Yes. Professor, I've built a similar feature, and this was for a spider race. I did it for someone here in DnDTime needed a spider race for something, so I whipped this up. And I wrote... And the feature was called 8-legged, and it was, you have 2 additional sets of smaller arms. You cannot use the versatile property of weapons carried in these extra arms. You cannot use these extra limbs to initiate grapples or wear shields. These limbs can be used for other tasks such as opening doors, carrying torches, using tools, or performing the somatic components of spells while you're not holding weapons.
That just sounds great. I think you can just put that right on there. And
Sure.
You also want to note that you can't wield shields with them.
Yeah, it's actually on there.
Oh, okay, great.
You can't use them to grapple or shield.
Yeah, I think just right there, you're set. And that gives this race a really interesting connection for spellcasters, like the cleric, because that means you can go shield, sword, and you can still cast spells because you can do somatic components with your
Yeah. Additionally, it kind of gives you some options where you can be like shield, weapon, 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 and then pick which weapon you swing with.
You just have a lot of weapons.
You just have a bunch of weapons, so you get some like funny weapon switching options there, which most people don't use those rules anyway. So I don't think that's too problematic.
So can you paste
yeah, let me just copy and paste it.
So we have a cool all kung fu mantis. Oh no. Tabaxi, tiger, wanty, viper, and aarakocra crane. Oh no.
You have an additional set.
I mean, you can just say you have additional limbs.
You have additional limbs. Sure.
I think we just keep it vague enough.
Yeah, so that it applies to spiders too.
And the praying mantis is like, oh yeah, I have extra legs instead of hands, and that's fine.
Oh, and that works really well for the praying mantis too, because it lets us have two big scythes and then still have regular doing stuff hands.
Yeah, exactly.
We can play around with that.
It's hard to do that.
Yeah.
Cool. So you have additional limbs. You can't use the versatile property of weapons carried in these extra arms, or in these carried with these limbs.
Yes.
Limbs. You cannot use these extra limbs to Oh, you already used limbs there. Initiate grapples or hold shields. These limbs can be used for other tasks: opening doors, carrying torches, using tools.
Wait, when you're not holding.
When they are not holding weapons.
Yes, there we go. That was probably a typo.
When they're not holding an item. We'll just say specifically. You can't do somatic components when you're holding the torch.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm glad you already did that. That's great.
Yeah, that was
going to be the hardest feature here.
That was just what I was sitting on.
Jericho is asking, can they hold an arcane vocus? Absolutely. And I think that's going to be one of like the cool, powerful features here. Because what's interesting is I think most of these bug subraces are really going to have more physical ability scores, really cater more toward physical classes. And I like the idea that they have these subtle but actually pretty impactful bonuses if you want to go the kind of off-brand spellcast. So I think that's sick. I really like it.
I agree. I like it too.
So let's start scrolling down a little bit more. We got it actually really need because we have them written below. So we have
let's talk about our guys.
Our options, right? We're actually talking about spiders. Holy crap.
You want to just get into it?
Yeah, maybe we should start by where are we going to put the spider option? Are we going to just add it to the bottom? Like we can just kind of
I
a horizontal line
because we're not going to use this sheet eventually. Oh yeah, perfect. Yeah, let's just do that since we're probably not going to use this sheet anyway in the long run.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, I'm just putting this in here now.
We're spiders.
Yeah, we'll start with spiders because I think spiders are the ones people want the most.
So, yeah, that seems like instinctively to me, like the spider seems the most obvious one that you'd want to make as a player character.
So let's first talk about their ability score.
Reflected Today says the all kung fu team is now possible. You got your Mantis style, your Tabaxi, your Yuan-Ti, and your aarakocra. I love it. I absolutely love it.
It would be amazing. I'm very excited. Now, see, the
4-monk party.
Is you keep coming up with these options, these party comps. You have to do. And now, what do you do?
All monks.
What do spiders get? So they already get dex and strength. At least that's how we currently have it.
Another dex.
We could give them another point of dex. But do we see them particularly dexterous? Because I think the extra point of dex should go with the bee. I think bees are faster. At least I think of them as fast.
Intelligent?
I was thinking intelligent.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. I was picturing them weaving their web and that.
Ooh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. I was just picturing like there's something very cerebral about the creation of a web.
See, I was also thinking wisdom, and this is from a mechanical perspective because I totally see a spider cleric of law.
Oh yeah,
right? And I almost like want this to cater to that fantasy. You know what I mean?
to a degree, yeah, for sure. But I think no, I guess I was gonna say I was feeling like you could.
Well, let's look at all of them again. We got spiders, ants, bees. We cut the butterfly, mantis, and beetle, and grasshopper. Grasshopper will probably have the charisma, right? Mantis will probably be strength.
That,
or no.
Or I was thinking there might have to be some overlap.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So maybe we don't have to worry. Maybe we don't worry about. We just go with the one that feels right and don't worry about
Mantis
what.
is dex. Oh, I think you're right. Yeah, because that sudden like would be rad.
And maybe B feels like wisdom to me. I could.
Oh, you're right, because they have a memory thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. I can see bees for wisdom, mantis for dexterity, grasshopper for charisma, ant for strength, beetle for constitution.
Beetlecon.
And then that
the big bad Beetleborg
is int.
Yeah, it just feels right.
And we don't have to follow that, but I want to now that it works so well. Plus, I think it works. I think the cerebral weaving of the web is good.
The only other thing we could do is maybe give all bugs wisdom, and then
I'm fine with it. I'm like that.
Yeah.
So we give them +1 int, and what do we say? What do they get? They get a web shot, probably web sense, web walk.
I'm picturing. Rather than giving them like a full, because I don't think we have enough room, because we want to give them spider climb, right? Because that feels like, if I'm a spider person, that's the most iconic spider feature, is walking on walls.
Oh, we forgot to give the dark vision. They should all have dark vision.
Oh yeah,
dark vision should be a core race feature.
This race is starting to get a lot of stuff.
Yeah, well, that's the concern is we're giving them a lot of choices on ability score, a lot of versatility on ability score, a natural armor. That's why I was thinking the not optimal natural armor here might be the right way to go.
Yeah, it's definitely not looking like we're going to need to bump that.
They have dark vision. Probably not superior dark vision because I don't think they need it.
And I'm always fine with, I don't consider versatility adding power on races because you're building it in that way. Like you're building it to it be optimal. Like it doesn't matter, in my opinion, on versatility.
Yeah, no, I agree. So last time we talked and we brainstormed spiders. Web shot, web walk, web sense, spider climb, mundane uses for your rope, for your webs, like as rope. Extra legs are already on there.
Dunzo.
Disproportionately strong.
I think that's going to go somewhere else.
And poison.
The poison feels very right. As does spider climb, as does web. Like it feels like all of those things need to be on there.
So let's start by just scrolling way down, because here's the thing. We're making an anthropomorphic spider, right? We're making a spider creature that is human-y. And if we scroll way down, I've pulled in the stat block, or part of stat block, for a catene, catene, which is a humanoid spider monster. I actually used them the other week in my the Cuckoo Clock episode of Pete and Jeremy's DnDTime. And they're basically just multi-armed, horrifying spider people.
Yeah.
And they got a climb speed. All right, we got our climb speed. And they had a couple features. They had sunlight sensitivity. That's one way we could reel back some power. We wanted to give them that. That's a pretty big one.
That's a huge one, yeah.
They had web sense and they had web walker, but they did not have spider climb. I think we could just give them these two, and honestly, I think that'd be okay, and we just don't add spider climb.
Oh, it hurts me in my heart, but yeah.
Spider climb is a really powerful ability.
Oh no, I'm with you on that. I understand how powerful spider climb is. want them to have it. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
Well, they already can climb. They already have a climb speed. So they can climb.
Yeah, but it's not the vision.
Of being able to hang from the ceiling.
Yeah.
Well, let's give them spider climb for now, and we can just remember we might need to reel that back.
Yeah, but I definitely also agree that we're getting into some dangerous territory.
Well, we're getting into a ton of effect. So we give them web sense. While in contact with a web, you know the exact location of any other creature in contact with the same web. And Web Walker.
That's flavor. That's fine.
I don't think that's flavor. I think that's very powerful.
Well, they don't have the. I guess it assumes that they're going to take the web cast. They're going to take the web spell at some point, but they don't get it naturally.
Oh, I don't even think that. It's just if you come up against a web-based enemy. Well, at the same time, you know the location. You don't know what it is. So I guess that's not too bad.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see that. I mean, it has uses, but they're very niche.
Yeah. So I think those are two good features put on there. The problem is, if it's just this, that's a pretty sad-looking set of abilities,
I mean, the other things that we could give it are.
Well, do we want to give it a web shot?
I was gonna say a 1-a-day casting of either web at like a first level, or poison resistance, but I think poison resistance is a bit much.
Yeah. 1 time per day use of web, that's definitely an option. What is their main class? It gives them a pretty good natural armor. It gives them dark vision.
Because that's another thing in thinking about the spider, like the natural armor doesn't feel even that dead on to me for the spider.
So really, their main class doesn't actually give them too much. It has a lot of. I think we could give these guys spider. We gotta. And then if we need to reel it back at the end, we will.
We'll take a look for sure. It's just like I guess extra limbs. How powerful do you think extra limbs is?
I don't think it is.
I don't think so either. Insectoid communication is pretty much just a ribbon.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. And I think the extra limbs are all button a ribbon. Because here's the sort of thing, right? The best part about the extra limbs is you can carry a torch. But you have dark vision. There are niche benefits if you're a spellcaster that wants to wield a sword and a shield. But that's it. So I think it's fine. I don't think it's a huge deal. I think we can give these guys spider climb. And we can, figure that out.
Yeah.
And
works for me.
And I think we'll give them one called at the very bottom. They have Web Walker. Let's give them Web Weaver.
Ooh.
And you can create up to 50 feet of web each day. The web functions silk. Want to just do that?
That could be, yeah,
or something like that. I mean,
I was thinking just like cast a web spell, but
see, I like this as kind of useful but not powerful. Like you have vestigial web generation. It's like I can still make webs, but I can't do much with them.
It's just like a silk rope, and you kind of, I guess the only worry I have about that is, like what players will feel like they're able to do with that. You know what I mean? Like what that entails. Because is it assumed that the web isn't sticky at all? Is that one of the things? It's just rope?
I think what we can just say, right, is
maybe the web functions exactly as silk rope, as just an extra thing. And then because then there's also a question of can they lay that on the ground around can they stretch that around their campsite, and then make a little essentially alarm spell using their web sense and stuff like that? How would you say it interacts with their other features?
I think that's fine. I think that's cool. I think we can just say the web strands are how thick are they? Maybe a 1/4 inch thick.
Okay, so pretty thick. Yeah. Okay. I'm
Inch
down for that.
thick, and function is silk rope.
Um,
Function is silk rope and is not particularly sticky.
sure.
And it's just a little, because I like the idea. And the reason I want this feature in here is if I were gonna play a spider folk character, that's something I'd want to do, right? And I think, like, obviously, if you were the GM, and I said, "Yo, Pete, I'm a spider guy. Can I like make some webs and do something with it?" You'd let me do that, I think.
Yeah.
Because that's part of the fantasy of playing a spider character. Kind of like having the spider climb. It's like
Yeah. You need it. That's why I was saying it just didn't feel right to not have them have that.
The webbing should be sticky, and that's something key to a spider web. You're right, Jericho. It is, but we've given these guys a couple of very powerful features, and giving them webbing that they can immediately use with their web sense. We're putting there's a lot of hidden power on there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's a little dangerous, I'd say, even as is. We're pushing the boundaries on this guy, but I mean, I'm kind of okay with it. Also, I think because we always go back through and clean these up a little bit, and I think when we do, we might combine those 3 abilities into one big ability.
I mean, it's also a facet that this spider option, very disparate ability scores: strength, dexterity, and intelligence, all only +1.
That's true.
So this guy is not really this subrace option is not getting a ton of potency. And Reflect Tonight says only sticky at the end. So the reason that we said not particularly sticky, I think, and Pete, correct me if you had a different thought process here, vision, but it's just to make it clear that you can't use this to like stick people. You get no benefit from it being sticky.
That was the thing that I was worried about.
Yeah, that's the real key.
I was less worried about like stringing it up places and more worried about how it would interact with people.
And exactly the figure Jericho. The web weaver is more flavorful versus a once per day web spell, because a once per day web spell becomes useless once you get to level like 10. You're not going to cast it. It's just not.
Yeah, well, I mean, it would only function again as basically the alarm, like if you wanted to create an alarm.
Well, even then, the web spell only lasts for a certain amount of time. This becomes actually, you can do still creative stuff with it.
Yeah, and I guess my perception of the web spell is a little bit different than
what it does.
Yeah, I think of it more as
people do more with it. I understand.
Yeah, that. I think of it more as just you create a web in this space and it lasts forever because it's physical. It's not magic.
The spider climb, and we can just say you can climb difficult surfaces, including upside down on ceilings, without needing to make an ability. Boom. That is an incredibly powerful feature. Now, it says without needing to make an ability check. That's the standard spider climb, like from the giant spider. We could make a different, similar feature and say you have advantage to ability checks, whatever. That might confuse people who also DM. I don't think it would confuse players, though.
This is true.
Oh, the spider climb spell they have active.
Can we come back to that?
Yeah.
And look at the spider once we're done with other stuff?
Oh, shit. Now I'm just thinking we could give them the tiefling kind of bank of options, right? And give them spider climb and web and... Ooh, that would be an option. We'll come back to these guys.
Yeah, let's look at it again in a minute. And maybe that's the way to go on these guys. And that would definitely be more balanced for sure.
So let me...
What level spell is spider climb? Spooder climb.
2?
Is it a 3rd or a 2nd?
2? I think it's 2. That would be on the
that would be on point.
So we might come back to that and give them spider climb. I mean, give them a spell option. The weird thing is, if being a physicality aspect, I think the spell's a little weird.
Yeah, it's...
Let's go to our next episode. Let's not get locked down on the spider right.
Yeah, we go forever. Let's talk about ants. Ants seem a lot more straightforward to me.
Ants are way more straightforward. We're looking at
an extra +1 to strength.
Well, first let's look at what we brainstormed, right? They're disproportionately strong, work better as a team, and a burrow speed. Those are the 3 things we had put on here. We might not do that. So strength.
That's obvious. They're going to have powerful build. Pretty much no two ways about that one. There's a feature that defines what an ant is.
So, scrolling down, we get, what do did I put powerful build in here? Did I actually not copy powerful build in here somehow? Man, I'm bad.
I'll grab it right now, unless you already got it.
I do not. So, they're going to get powerful build with some carry stuff larger than their carrying capacity. Yeah, there you go. Finding Sheep is saying that 4-time carrying capacity feature, the Goliath feature from Faith of Jericho, exactly. But what else to answer?
As a ribbon, first thought, while we're just throwing stuff out, because I think we're in a little bit of a brainstorming phase again right now, because not a lot of stuff that we have for ants at the moment. I can picture some kind of Minotaur-esque labyrinthine recall, as they're so used to their elaborate caves, like some kind of navigational ability.
Yeah, that might not be a bad idea, but at the same time, if they get off the trail, they're lost, right?
This is also true.
Farfel, so I missed some stuff. Can they swap between human form and this form? No, it's just the one Entothrope. We're going with a born lycanthrope rather than a transform as a core concept. We get a powerful build. Oops. All right. So, what else would an ant person get?
we've been doing.
You know what could be cool? Well, ability score is not italicized. It's weird. Don't worry.
Oh, I was just putting
a climb speed. She was saying, well, actually, we put a climb speed just on the race in general, so they already got one.
Yeah.
So they have a climb speed. What might be cool, and Pete, you let me know how you feel about this, with their extra limb. What if ants can use their extra limbs even better than some of the others?
Okay, I'm with you so far.
What if ants can use their extra limbs to initiate grapples and hold? What does that mechanically mean? I mean, it doesn't mean anything, because they still have the same number of actions, right? They still function in the same action economy. It's just they could grapple and dual wield, and that would be fine.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
At least that's a thought.
Yeah, I'm not opposed. I'm into it to a degree.
So we have a powerful build, then we're also going to give them powerful limbs. You can use your extra limbs to initiate grapples, or what?
Maybe that's the end of the statement. Maybe you can use your. I'm a little. Do you want to give them the ability to dual wield and hold a shield? Because I feel like that pigeonholes them a little bit. It's like these are just really good fighters now. Like
they are, but that's their entire. The reason I'm looking at this, right, is that's their whole feature. Is that because dark vision, it's good. The carapace, it's pretty good, but it's not huge. It's a thought.
That seems like the initiate grapples I'm into, but the hold shields, that just I don't like painting them that much into a box where I know I look at that instantly and I'm like, oh, these things are monstrous. The +2 strength, and then I can hold a shield, and I can, in theory, actually you can grapple someone with one hand, hold the shield, and then just beat the hell out of them while you're blocking their attacks. Oh yeah, I didn't even.
One hand. You only need one hand to hold to grapple. So the only difference between this character as a fighter and a, for example, like a paladin, would be the shield, right? Because a paladin cannot grapple and attack while holding a shield. This one could. It would be the difference. I don't know. I think that's possible. We can think about it though. Maybe we read that one for
now. Okay, yeah. And I mean, either way, the initiate grapples. There's the. I mean, what about the possibility of playing around with that working together, aspect?
So, that.
I'm not thinking like a pack tactics, but
yeah, maybe we just give them a feature and we call it like instinctive teamwork. I think that'd be a good name for a feature, right?
Yeah, maybe they have like some kind of ability to use help action at particular times.
You know what I like? Whenever I see these kind of features where it's something that augments the help action, or something that augments the dash action, or something that augments the dodge action, except not the dodge action's actually good. But those other two actions are bad usually. If you're using dash and if you're using
in combat
help,
at least,
you're ineffective. You're really a lot of time you're wasting your you're not a lot of the time you're wasting your action economy, or you're at least giving up a lot for it. What I would really like is maybe when you use your action to help another creature, something else happens. Like you're saying mastermind help. Maybe they can just use the dash action.
A thing I've never thought about on these guys, because I don't think I don't think of them as in particularly quick. But one thing I can see and that we haven't talked about yet is Ant's got a nasty bite.
Well, what if we just say you can use your reaction, or I'm sorry, if that creature moves before the end of the start of your next turn, you can use your reaction to follow it. That's a cool one.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Ants are following the leader. You're helping the leader. I think that's a fun, maybe not super powerful, but like at least it's something to make that more
walk alongside of your allies, so you get to keep pace with them if they're. Yeah, I think that's I think that's interesting. I've never seen that mechanic done. I think that has some.
And I like, you're right, a natural weapon like a bite.
Because my thought was when you use the help action, you could also just get a bite as a bonus action, so you're not. So you're not like completely wasting your turn helping. You still get like one weapon attack, but not like you don't take the attack action. You just get one bite, which would be not super impactful.
That'd be cool too. I mean, the issue, it depends on what phrasing you use for a natural weapon. As long as it's not usable with like a sneak attack, that'd be really fine.
Yeah, we'll make it a strength-based attack.
Yeah, right. And then you'd be the helpful paladin ant. What do you think?
Either way, I like the idea of giving them a bite because that's very like ants. Some ants are pretty nasty, actually.
Yeah. What do you guys think, chat? Do you want the instinctive teamwork or do you want the bite? Let's give them. I'm sorry. Do you want the bonus action bite? I think regardless, we're gonna give them the a natural weapon, right?
Oh yeah. I'm down for that either way. Because that's not a big deal. D6, D8, either way, probably D6.
Yeah, I mean, I'm literally just taking this straight from the lizard folk.
Grabbing one.
That Wonderful. Is what it is.
You got ahead of me.
Yeah. So your chitinous
mandibles. Are they mandibles?
Oh yes. Oh, excellent. Oh, and you know what, Pete? You know why this is great? Your teeth. It's your mandibles. It's not even your arms, so you can still attack with them.
Yeah.
Even if you're holding stuff in all your arms.
Stack!
I
love it.
On strikes, if you hit with it, you deal piercing damage equals 26 with strength modifier. So blending damage. Strike. Excellent. Perfect. I like this a lot. We should just throw pack tactics on to make it absurd. Ooh, that's a great idea. No.
Let's do pack tactics twice. You get advantage. No. Let's do pack tactics, but at a range where if the ally's within 30 feet, you get advantage.
She was saying I feel like a bonus action bite is more appropriate for the Mantis.
I'm not quite seeing that one.
Yeah, I'm not quite following that either.
Unless you're thinking like the old bite off the head trope on the Mantis.
Oh yeah, okay.
I could go either way. The instinctive, the bonus action bite's just a little bit more conventional. Like I don't quite understand how impactful instinctive teamwork will end up be doing because I've never seen a mechanic like that. That's also interesting. The bonus action bite, I think that's just a very clear kind of like we both know how much combat effectiveness that's gonna bid, which is a little.
Yeah. So when
which one do you like? Which one do you like more, Jeremy? Are you feeling your instinctive teamwork there?
I like it because I like the ants following thing, and a huge issue in 5e is always, oh, I want to stay with this person. All right, on their turn they move 30 feet. Then the dragon breathes on you, and you're not within 10 feet of the paladin anymore. You're like, but I wanted to move with them. That's what I wanted to do, and that sucks.
Because, yeah, it's a weird way of
you're running with them.
I was running into that exact issue in a recent D&D time where there was a lot of interesting movement issues.
Mechanic.
Yep.
But I don't think we need this. I think the bonus action bite is an excellent.
Okay.
And, I don't even know if we need to have a bonus action bite. I think we could just say you may take a bite. You may make a single bite attack.
And let them keep their.
Yeah, I think they can still use. I don't want to take their bonus action economy. I don't want to say, hey man, you're playing your weird strength rogue ant. I don't want to fuck you because of this.
Yeah, sure.
We already say when you use your action to help another creature. And so, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, there's nothing degenerate that I can think of that could happen there.
Creature of your choice within 5 feet of that. Cool. Or within 5 feet. Cool. Instinctive teamwork. I think that works pretty well.
Yeah.
Bite attack. We'll take it.
And then I think we can take off the hold shields because it doesn't need the extra.
It's too much. Too much.
Yeah, a little funky. I don't know. I actually really like where this ended up.
I do as well. See, sometimes you just kind of got to chew on it for a while and get all the gristle out, and then it's great.
Hells to the Y to the EA, yeah.
So, what's our next one? We got ants. By the way, thank you, chat, for helping with all this.
Indeed. Triple pack text gives disadvantage on all saving throws made by people against people making saving throws against the creature's spells or effects.
So I see Sheba had a cool idea about instinctive teamwork not provoking opportunity attacks for the movement option. If we had kept that, I think we absolutely
would have for sure. 100%. That would have been the way to go.
Cool. So bees. We're on to the bees.
Not the bees.
What do we say? Bees? We're bees. We're wisdom. The happy little bees.
Hey Jeremy, before we get into bees, do you want to take a quick break?
Oh, yeah, we blew way past our break. We'll be right back, guys. We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, bees! Stay tuned. Hey, we're back. Thanks everyone for hanging out. I see Reflected Tonight had to go to bread. You got to get that bread, man. You want to go to bread?
I'm a bread boy.
I'm not too tired right now, so I think maybe I'll have bread later.
I eat it and I lay on top of it.
So we are on to
not the bees.
For those who may have joined us in the break, I'm not sure if there are any of you, but we are making subrace option for bug people, otherwise known as Entothropes or werewolf, bug, werelichens. Anyway, we're on to bees. We're talking about bees now. Bees are wise. Cool, we know that. What else do we have for bees?
Well, Jeremy, actually, we were talking about, me and Jeremy were having a small conversation off the screen. We're talking about changing around our ability scores a little bit.
Oh, right. Coming back up to the top. So sorry, go ahead.
No, after you, please.
Well, it's just as we've been looking at this more, we're getting to the point where, because there's so much versatility in this, maybe ability scores are one of those places we dial back a little bit, and we make these subraces actually very good at their one specific thing. So maybe we make the primary ability score con.
Yeah, I just take the kind of...
Let's just get rid of the strength. Con, dex, and +1. Because I have a hard time seeing a bee that doesn't get a plus to dex. You know?
Yeah, well, we could just do con +1 and dex +2 on bees. And we don't have to do because we're doing a kind of a parallel thing where each one has a +2 to a different stat, but we could just do multiple of the same.
Yeah, we could, but I liked it.
Yeah, cool. It feels nice, but we could also do...
Oh, that's a great idea. We'll just do +1. Oh, that's excellent, Sheba. And then bees can get a +1 dex and +1 with. There we go.
Oh, you're thinking +1 to con and then 2 +1s in the subraces?
Yeah, I mean, right, and
or a +2,
we'll
or
phrase that, right? So if they get a +1 con baseline, we go back to our spiders. We'll give the spiders a +2 int. Sure. That sound all right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And then a +2 to strength on the ants.
Yeah, and then for the bees, we'll give them a +1 wisdom and then a +1 dex. I see what you were saying, Sheba. I like that. Oh, you're gonna unbold it. Thank you.
I got it.
Yeah,
oh wait, the +1 was also bold.
Sheba, good things.
You
got your bread there. You went to bread. You woke up. You were smarter. Perfect.
You've used your brain, your head, and your mind too.
Cool. So we have just ability score a little bit more. Let's talk a little bit about our sting, which I'm just going to copy the bite, and we can change it.
However,
your stinger, use a natural weapon. If you hit with it, it deals
used to make... Well, Jeremy, you can't use it to make unarmed strikes. You can use it to make unarmed strike.
You can use it to make unarmed strikes because you could miss.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So one of the things is we want to give the bees flight. And flight is OP.
Mm-hmm.
There's one race that has fast flight as their core feature. We're going to scroll down to them here because I pulled them in. Aarakocra. They have a fly speed of 50 feet. That is their only feature. I mean, they have talons, which just whatever. Those are a ribbon at 1d4 slashing damage. They're so weak.
And we're going to give the bees flight, which means we give them nothing else, except for the sting, which is going to be a ribbon, which we have kind of a funny idea for.
So let me throw the flight on here.
Do we want to do 50 feet? How much flight do we want to give these guys? Because they got other features too. I'm thinking 30.
I was thinking 40 because I want to. Oh, yeah, I like 40. A little fast. They can't wear medium or heavy armor. I like that.
Yeah.
And then a sting, right? And that's all we need for the bees, right? Unless we want to give them honey.
Oh, well, we're going to be doing kind of a fun feature for the sting, though, where you may use your stinger once per day. And if you hit with your sting attack, we're going to make it much bigger than the average natural weapon. We're going to do a D12 for it. And if you hit with it, you are reduced to 0 hit points.
Exactly.
Uh,
So that is our bee sting plan. You just get one really big natural weapon if you want.
Max Meister says stings should deal poison damage, since real bee stings have a venom in addition to piercing damage. I could be convinced. I don't know. What do you think, Jeremy?
I like it just as a D12 of sting damage.
Just piercing damage, just raw puncture wound.
Yeah, it's just
to be fair, I did get stung by a bee recently, and the venom did hurt.
Okay, so maybe the reason I want to stay with the D12 is it's just easy. Oh right, and it says strength modifier here. I think we can use dex. I think we can say dexterity.
Yeah,
because it's all about the speed with the stinger. When you hit with this weapon,
I love this so much.
You are reduced to 0 hit points. And cannot use the weapon again, or this weapon, again, until you complete long rest. And regain all your hit points.
I'm like already picturing of all the cultural significance of this too. Like what it means to sting and stuff like that. It's like the ultimate insult.
Your sting is at least the size of a short sword. The venom is the real sting that hurts. Yeah, I mean, we could just give it a D6 and then also... So we'll say it's a D6 plus your dexterity modifier. Plus, what? 2d4 poison damage?
I'd even be okay with doing 2d6 because it's so brutally punishing, and then we can just roll 1 dice.
Cool. There we go. You just get one.
Just one. Just the ultimate middle finger. Just
now. Here's a question. At this point, this is actually a very powerful weapon. Even though we're reduced to 0 hit points, that's pretty potent. I think it's fine though.
Yeah, I don't think it's like so dramatic. Even if it ends up being good, and we put on the caveat. You can only use it once per day to prevent any kind of people trying to troll it, where you get up and sting and like. So
yeah, there's no cheese in this.
A 1-a-day last-ditch effort. It's just so dramatic that I think it's fine.
Yeah, Shiva, I was thinking about that too, about the death saves, but it's just, I don't know. It's probably just not worth it. We'll just see what it is.
Yeah, it's just.
I think it's fine.
Just makes it more complicated. The Mantis.
Are we on the Mantis already? Oh my!
Yeah, we're flying. We're gonna get through all these tonight. I actually didn't think we'd make it.
We hit our stride once we have the core option down.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some really cool stuff. I don't know. I'm really liking the way this is shaping up tonight.
So Mantis, definitely a +1 dexterity, and we have. Want to give them +2 dexterity? They're just fast.
What do they have? Oh, they have +1 to con and +2 dexterity. The only other thought is because of the monk aspects of them, I'd almost be okay with doing the bee thing too, where it's +1 dex and +1 whiz. Because like I'm picturing like the literal Mantis style. Like I can't separate myself from the Mantis monk. So actually, I think it's. I think that.
What if we just give the bees +2 dex and then the Mantis one? I don't want them to be both the same.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
That really bothers me. So we'll put the wisdom on the Mantis.
Beely. But Jeremy, I think you should follow your heart on the Mantis if you're feeling the +2 dex, because I know you've already got a lot of thoughts on the. I know you already got a lot of thoughts on the Mantis. You were excited about this one.
I am very excited. See, when we were brainstorming these ideas last time, no one said Mantis in the chat. I just kind of put it there because I really wanted it. The main thing is, where is your stinger located? Face of Jericho asks. Oh, it's in your butt. You just gotta boop.
Yeah, you
boop them. It's got a very different connotation and cultural context in this culture. It's way more insulting.
I really like what we have here. Mantis, they got flight, yo.
I've never thought of a Mantis as wise.
The praying, when I think like praying mantis, praying is in the word. I don't know, there's something very solemn about the mantis to me.
Yeah, I like that. So I already came up with both of the core features for the mantis. Gonna clamp them on here. Mantis physicality. They need an attack called saber arms.
Did you already build the saber arms, or were you just
No, I've
thinking
not built
about...
saber arms. They're gonna be some sort of natural weapon. Or he's gonna give an Asdiff. Mantis physicality. In addition, any any activity that requires hands is especially difficult for you because of your bladed arms. When you perform such an activity, it takes 4 times as long, and any ability checks made to perform the activity are made at disadvantage. I pulled this directly out of the centaur with its equine physicality feature, and I basically just rolled on that with the 4 times as long. I think it's fine. Most of these ability checks are pretty... I mean... See, that requires hands. Rather than hands, requires manual dexterity. I like the idea that these things just suck at being rogues. Oh, maybe they're great at rogues, though. Shit. They just suck at picking pockets, I guess. I'm still okay with it. Saber arms are dual short swords, Faith of Jericho says. Do they have extra arms or extra legs? Could they just use those extra arms to do the same thing? Yeah, right? That's an interesting point, because now they have extra arms. Let me see. They don't appear to have extra arms, but they have extra legs out of the front. I could see them using those legs.
Yeah, but I mean, like, all of the buggy boys have... I mean, normally they're all legs. So I think it's okay to assume that for the mantis, they walk upright and those 2 front legs would instead be arms.
Yeah, so maybe we don't even need this. As much as I like this stupid...
I mean, I like it, though. Don't delete it yet, because I think there's a way to make it work, and I think it's fun. Like...
Alright, I'm gonna put a little red on it, and we'll come back to it later. And then...
Oh, sorry. Let's talk about the natural weapon. I think that these are, like, pretty good natural weapons.
I agree. So here's the next question, right? We've already determined that they can use weapon already, right? They can use other weapons. Oops. Is the core feature of the praying mantis the fact that it has D8 saber arms and can dual wield their saber arms? Is that like their power?
I think it's, yeah.
I'm totally into that.
Yeah, they get, instead of 2d6, they get 2d8. That's actually really good.
That's very good, yeah.
Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, like, whoa. It's actually...
that is their... Do we think that's too far?
Now the question is, how does that interact with features, for example, 2-weapon fighting and the dual wielder feat?
So
Which doesn't really matter in the context of DnDTime, but
so instead
I like to think about that stuff anyway.
Saber arms.
Yes.
Your bladed arms are natural weapons. How do they work in the context of 2-weapon fighting?
Are we going to treat them as unarmed strikes? In which case they would... Let me look at 2-weapon fighting really quick. It'd be helpful if I was looking at the feature while I was discussing it.
Let's see. Question.
When you engage in 2-weapon fighting, you can add your ability modifier to the damage of the second attack.
I think it worked the same way then. No different.
But because unarmed strikes interact a little bit funky with...
No, they don't. It works the same way with 2-weapon fighting.
Are you able
the monk unarmed strike specifically that's different?
Are you able to treat your offhand as a light weapon that you can make a bonus action attack with?
Oh, you're right.
That's what I'm saying.
I think you can,
because it's like a funky territory where it made sense to me until they eroded it. Like, because originally unarmed
Yeah.
strikes were just considered weapons, and logically there it'd be like, yeah, well, of course you would just punch and add extra damage if you punched with your offhand.
So rather than use to make unarmed strikes, here's a great scenario here, because the only issue I think I'm going to run into the Mantis with is the monk using unarmed strike, right?
Yes.
So I think what we do is we just say
Your bladed arms are natural weapons.
our natural weapons with the light and finesse properties. Wait, if they're light, then they can.
Yeah, well, then they can be wielded offhand.
Yeah, but that's fine. But they don't work with the monk's flurry of blows.
Yeah.
Because I think we want them to be able to attack with both.
Right? And now, as another question, the only other thing I'm worried about now, if we go this direction too heavily, which I guess it doesn't matter because this is really optimal, but it does cut out an aspect of the game. Like, can they can't wield anything ever other than their arms. So, like, what? Would they not be able to wield any weapon other than their arms? Because, like, if later on they find like a cool magic weapon.
Well, that's the thing, right? Currently, the way this is set up, if we get rid of Mantis physicality, right, with the extra arms features up here or extra limbs, they could wield another weapon using the other.
Yeah, weapon. They just wouldn't be able to.
Your primary set of limbs are bladed arms, or your primary set of arms. Here we go. Arms are bladed natural weapons. Perfect. So you have a second set of arms, and that's what you can have with the martial arts, right? Because the way this is written right now, they can still do this with 2-weapon fighting, right? They just can't do it with flurry of blows, which is what we want. And if they find a cool weapon later, they can use their other arms to do it. And I think we just get rid of this Mantis physicality. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I'm just making sure that right now sorry, I'm in quiet right now. I was just rereading extra limbs to make sure that works the way we want it to. But yeah, that's fine with me.
Mm-hmm. And I think we can just say, and this is what we don't normally do this, and Wizards doesn't always do this, but sometimes they do. When they have a weird situation like this, they put in reminder text, which isn't actual rules text. It just is restating another rule from somewhere else. And we just say here, you cannot use these hands to hold items. However, you can still use your extra limbs to hold items or to hold items or attack with other weapons.
Yeah, and we might need to come back to extra limbs, I think, is the thing, and make sure that extra limbs is very clear on, like, I think there needs to be some caveat in extra limbs that's like, at any given moment, you can have 2 limbs that are engaged in combat. So it's like, the Mantis can have the 2 saber arms, and then they could technically be sword and board with the extra limbs. But they wouldn't gain any benefits from the sword and board while they're like, yeah, it gets a little bit into some tricky territory.
I think this is good, but let's scroll up to the extra limb. And I think all we need to just say is at the very end, you can only utilize one set of limbs at a time during combat. Or one set of arms. And let's just change them all to extra arms. God damn it. We'll just get rid of the word limbs. Are you okay with that, Pete?
I'm fine either way. I think arms was originally where I was.
You had it originally, and I was.
I mean, there's an argument for either way. I can see it. Varful's saying something interesting. Wouldn't we want this to work with flurry of blows, like Pete was saying at the start of Mantis style is a thing? Seems weird to then bar monks from using their arms.
Well, I think they can use their arms for their other attacks, right? For their normal attack, and I think. Let's actually see what defines a monk weapon. Being a light weapon might define this as a monk weapon. Just by default.
No, I think it's specific ones. And maybe it's all the light weapons, but I think they enumerate them.
Let's see, martial arts.
We could just call them a weapon. Like, we could just call them, like, your hands are short swords. Who said that before? I think it was Jericho.
Short swords are any simple melee weapons. There we go. That don't have the two-handed or heavy property. So yeah, I think these are fine. Yeah, it's not all light weapons.
Short. Monk.
We hit another wall, boys.
This is a tricky one. This is a funky one to make work.
Yeah, well, because the main issue that I think we're gonna run into here, if we scroll back down to Mantis, is like we want these to be strong because we want this to be something that the character can continue to use. Is a D8 that much more powerful than a D6? Because monks already can use D6. It's an average of 4 extra damage per turn. That's their core feature on their optimal class.
In that case,
I think it's fine.
Just letting them be unarmed strikes.
Yeah, and that way we can cut all the shit out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it just gives you a lot early, because as opposed to like a level 1 Mantis monk, as opposed to a level 1 regular monk, like you're hitting for 3d8 instead of with your flurry of blows, or level 2 Mantis monk, 3d8 with your flurry of blows instead of a d8 and 2d4. So it's a lot. And it feels like I'm a little worried that it would start to feel like, oh well, you got to go Mantis if you're going to go monk, because
yeah, you're right.
It's so good at like early levels.
Oh, dude, I've got the solution.
And eventually, obviously, it scales off, so all are the same. But I have a solution. I think we give them a couple other pieces of power. I think we give them a little bit of power elsewhere. What if we just... Saber arms are just, when you make an unarmed strike with your saber arms, you may choose to deal slashing damage. And then we can give them another cool Mantis feature.
Yeah, I'm just not sure. I'm just, because, I don't know, when I think of praying Mantis, right, that's what I think. I think of the saber.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, that's the key. I mean,
that's the thing.
Fly, right? Technically?
Yeah, they can. But
they could give them like a really shitty flight and then make their saber arms D6s.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're probably going to also end up doing that with Grasshopper. We could incorporate. Yeah, it's a little underwhelming, I guess.
Yeah.
And we just go D6s, and it's still very good.
I mean, it's no better than any other melee weapon.
Well, no, because you get 2 of them and you can offhand them, and like you have them forever, you know. Because most of the other D6s, most of the natural weapons on other people are bites and not claws.
Yeah.
So you only get 1 attack, so you have the offhand option.
Okay.
And then maybe there's a little bit more room.
Sure. I mean, I think it's definitely weaker, but I think
as one other option, you could give them a... you could make their saber arms 1 attack that they are able to use. That is like, you use your saber arms, both of them swing, and it's like a special attack that you can do that is the saber arms attack that uses both, so it's like 2d6 or something like that.
You know, we could just have it be D8s and say, like, put a cap on how many times you can use it. No, it doesn't. That wouldn't matter. No,
wait, Jeremy. We make them D8s and we just don't make them light. You just don't do both of them at a time.
Then they still can't be. They can't be used for offhand attacks or for monk attacks.
But then they can use their other arms for...
Yeah, but then it's getting too funky. This is getting too chewy. They'd be able to use one of their arms to attack, and then the other
and then
one's doing
punch.
nothing, and like it's getting too chunky. I think we're good with just calling them D6s, and then we give them a minor. Because
Plus your dex modifier.
yeah, because I just don't see. Yeah, I'm just not seeing this is working. If you can make it count as a monk weapon and allow offhand attacks with the other arms, that would be fine.
But it just feels a little funky to specify in the race description that these things count as monk weapons.
Yeah, no, we couldn't do.
Yeah.
Oh, we could just call them simple. We just say that they're simple weapon. Yeah, right. Our natural weapons, which you just make. Yeah, it's with Farfel saying we can call them simple weapons, which count as simple weapons. Maybe with them they deal slashing damage to 1d6 plus your dexterity modifier. And now these are usable for, well, they were already usable for everywhere. I'm a little confused now. What were we going for originally? Just not using them with.
I think the worry is just that they were too powerful monks. I think we need to take a break from this one because we're falling into the.
Yeah, we're getting into some chunk here.
Swamp. Me and Jeremy. Yeah, this is one that we always run into one of these where me and Jeremy realize we just need to think about this a little bit over some time and come back with a slightly more reasonable.
Yeah, well, we'll come back to that in a couple minutes, and maybe that.
Yeah, Grasshopper. This is the one that I'm the most excited for. And what I want to do for the Grasshopper, and what we brainstormed originally, we said they were going to have jumping, they're going to have limited flight, natural armor, which they already have, and instrument proficiency, which is the thing I care most about. I want their legs to be able to be played like a fiddle and to give them performance proficiency. That's a thing that I would really love to have on the Grasshopper, because I think that's excellent because they make noises. And maybe we want to go a little bit, and that's because I have a very specific image of what I'd want to do with my Entothrope Grasshopper character. I basically ran him in the one adventure where the Entothropes really came up a lot, that I ran at least. Jeremy had an Entothrope adventure as well.
I did.
Yes.
Grasshopper equals best bar. Let's talk about this Grasshopper. Are we supposed to +2 charisma?
Shaw, for sure. Shaw.
Do we want to give them dex, or I don't think they even need it?
I think it's just +2 charisma. They're just likable boys.
I like that. Okay, so we got +2 charisma.
Let's do you want to do a jumping or like a flight?
I think jumping. I think we reserve flight because they're bad at flight anyways, right?
My thought was
derivative.
My thought on the flight was we could do something unique in between flight and jumping, where they have flight and they have to land at the end of their turn.
Yeah, that's an option.
If you want to just use we already have very good references for jumping.
Well, I was going to say, if we scroll way down, one of the monsters is called Female Steeder. It's from Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. It's actually from Out of the Abyss. They have a feature called Extraordinary Leap. And it just is. The distance of the steeder's long jump is tripled. Every foot of walking speed that it spends on the jump allows it to move 3 feet, which is pretty much the effects of the jump spell, except this is not limited by your maximum speed. Which is cool. Meaningfully, it doesn't make a huge difference, but it gives a little bit of.
So if you start, if you start out with a 10 strength, you're able to jump 30 feet. But that would mean that a 20 strength could jump 60 feet in a single bound, which I don't know if that's problematic. I think it might be good. It might be too good. It's
what other
cool as hell, though.
Right? What other features are we giving the Grasshopper? An instrument proficiency and a natural instrument?
Yeah.
And that's it.
Pretty much.
So, we can just give it to him.
You think it's okay?
I think so. It's just your long jumps. Doesn't affect your high jumps. Bunny folk can just, by default, as she was pointing out, jump 30 feet horizontally. But
yeah,
they
well,
can also jump vertically.
This would be, with properly, if you built for it. But I guess also it's a charisma-based thing. It doesn't get any bonuses to strength naturally. So you have to, like, really put in a lot of work to abuse it. Yeah, I think I'm fine with it. I just needed to justify it to myself for a little bit.
Farfel, that sounded like someone who doesn't know the word who doesn't know the word jumping, describing jumping, even though it's different. That's a good. I love that phrase. That the way you said that was very good. Oh my font is wrong.
Yeah, it's odd. The Allegra Sans SC. I was about to grab it, but you beat me to it because I didn't know what the font was and I had to look it up.
Pete, I'm fast. How'd the Mantis go? We hit a huge wall.
Yeah, the Mantis went. The Mantis
in a minute
was a little bit of a struggle.
Well, Reflecting tonight, I thought you went to bread. You got to get the beauty sleep with your bread.
When he was saying bread before, I'm pretty sure he was talking about got to get that bread, as in make that money. As I assume what he was talking about, like
I
burn that paper.
You were going to bread. Anyway, the Grasshopper, extraordinary leap. We got jumping, instrument efficiency. We're just gonna call that instrument efficiency. Maybe we just give them natural fiddle instead of natural armor.
Remember when I fought a grasshopper in my room? Yes. On DnDTime? I'd been hearing him in my room for days, and I just didn't recognize. Like, what is that noise? It's been bothering me forever. And then I realized later that night that it was that leggy boy.
Well,
fiddled legs, perfect.
Your legs can. That was Sheba. Your legs
nicely done,
can
Sheba.
Be used as a natural fiddle, as a natural instrument. What do I want to call it? How do we say that?
That's it. I think you got it already.
Is that really the phrasing we use?
You were proficient. You may. I think rather than saying you're proficient with this instrument. Oh yeah, you know what? That's fine. I was gonna say you're proficient. I was gonna say you may add your proficiency bonus to checks made to play this instrument, but you're proficient with this instrument. I think is totally fine.
I think that's actually better because otherwise, jack of all trades, and you could also then get proficient in the instrument. And anyway, so we got our fiddled legs. Is that it? Is that literally everything we're gonna put on the Grasshopper?
Yep. I think we're done. Cut it and print it.
Thank God.
He's everything I dreamed he would be.
All right, so now we're on to
the Beetle. Last but not least, we didn't brainstorm the Beetle last time.
I spelled Beetle wrong. I spelled like
you spelled it. You spelled it like the Beatles. I will get the ability score.
But what kind of beetle are we thinking about? Are we thinking?
I'm thinking the Hercules beetle. I mean,
okay.
And I think like the Hercules beetle is a good enough model that if you're playing any kind of beetle, you can use it. Like if we base it around that.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Con +1, strength +1.
Yeah. Bada boom. What abilities did I get? Max Meister. Can we do a beetle subrace, please? I have some really good ideas. +2 to strength, natural horn weapon on the head that can deal bludgeoning or piercing damage, and a +1 to AC due to natural beetle plating. I actually like. I like the idea that this beetle actually has an even better AC.
You want to do the +1 AC, Jeremy?
I want to say that your carapace provides an extra +1 to your armor class while using it to determine your armor class.
Okay, good. I thought you were saying like Jeremy. I was like, Jeremy? The Jeremy I know is a proponent of just tossing an extra AC. I would even be down to say improved carapace I have 14 instead of 12.
I hate that so.
14? You hate 14?
So strong, Pete. You've broken the power curve.
It puts you to. Oh, you're right. It's better than.
You've just broken the power curve. If that's its feature, I'm okay with that.
I mean, it is its feature, but
if that's its only feature,
I think it's its only feature. Beetles don't do it. I guess some beetles can fly.
I was thinking giving the beetle a fly speed of 10 feet. That'd be fun.
I think so too. Yeah, I just didn't think about the implications. I forgot that would put you at 19 flat at max. But putting you at 18 flat is totally fine, because then it's just plate mail.
Yep. Boop. Determine. We have our improved carapace. 5 feet. He's just super slow. Slow flight. I like that a lot. What's the speed? What do we have for flying speed with the text? You have a flying speed of 40 feet. And I think you can use heavy armor. I think we actually just put that on there and regret it.
Because no one's going to be wearing heavy armor on these guys, because they're going to be Constitution boys that get good AC.
Yep. Flying speed of 5 feet. Excellent. It's like the wings of the ship. Oh, a natural horn weapon? Max, of course we're having that. Oh, we're absolutely going to give them the natural horn.
Yeah, it deals 3d8. I'm getting tired to make these statements. Oh no. Okay, it's just a sting. You scared me with all these things.
You have a massive natural horn. A massive horn structure. That is a natural weapon.
That functions as a natural weapon, or that is a natural weapon.
I don't think you can use it to make unarmed strikes. I think
no.
it's... Oh, no. Actually, yeah, you can. Fuck it. If someone wants to play the weird strong beetle, go for it. You do bludgeoning damage. You need 1d6 plus strength modifier, and we get rid of the poison damage. And we get rid of this when we reduce to 0 hit points, because it does not get reduced to 0.
Oh, or maybe it does. While you
do we want to say
your carapace, determine your AC?
You got rid of my slow flight. Wait, no, you just got it.
I just fix and improve carapace.
What are you fixing, Pete? What's wrong with it? I'm looking at you.
It was put in 2 places, but now it's all well.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're pretty much set there.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Now, Max is saying bludgeoning or piercing damage for the horns. I think they're just bludgeoning. They're shaped like they're pointy, but they just beat the crap out of you. I like this. I like this a lot.
Yeah, I think that's good. And then slow flight. Do we want to? Because slow flight, I mean,
I think this is very powerful.
Because here's the thing. I think it's too busted.
Right now, you're saying that until you get your big beetle man. I'm gonna take 6 rounds to fly 40 feet in the air or whatever.
Oh no, that's the thing I was worried about too.
I'm gonna rain my javelins down upon my foes with my immense strength. You could just do it.
But I love that.
Okay, wait a minute.
I wanted to put a non-passenger clause on this.
When you take damage while flying, you must succeed on a Constitution saving throw as if concentrating on the
spell. Or fall.
Yep. There we go. Will you be able to have a cockroach/undead variant? We did not include that in our plans.
But cockroach could be just a beetle.
Yeah, I could be.
It's like a beetle
Maybe reflecting. Maybe I'll come back to the undead option.
The undead Entothrope.
And we can add some undead options for Bunny Folk and Entothrope and Florin and see how horribly that goes. Right, exactly. It's not a huge DC, Shiba. It's just because here's the thing: if you're flying in the air and throwing javelins down, that's not that good either. Like, the issue is if you're flying through the air and then using like a bow because you have a high dexterity. I think this is just a little bit of other reason why not. Right, just a little bit.
And since we're putting that aspect on it, I'm okay with making it 10 feet.
I liked it at 5, but okay.
You just liked how, just to like a little bit more out of combat, like.
Yeah, and we didn't give him powerful build. I think that's okay. Shiba asks, did Blood send me the kobold thing? No, I don't think so. Maybe I just missed it. You guys don't need powerful build, right?
I don't think so.
You all right, Pete? Sounds like you're having a rough time.
Oh no, I'm good. I'm just a sleepy boy.
Is there anything else that we need here?
You need nothing. It's done. It's perfect.
Our Beetle's pretty solid.
I think the Beetle.
Grasshopper's pretty good.
The Grasshopper is so much exactly what I wanted that I'm very happy about that. Like,
our Entothrope Mantis, we'll come back to that in a second. Our bees, pretty good. I like the bees a lot, actually. Our ants, pretty solid. I'm actually surprised we were able to weave all of these concepts into an actual cohesive race and subrace. I think
this came out good.
Silvered vulnerability on there because I like it. I'm overruling you. Some of you.
I'm fine with it too. I was with you the whole time on that.
That's it.
Con +1.
Gonna leave that as that.
Yep. 30 feet, climb 30 feet. I forgot that they all have climbing speeds.
Yeah, they can all climb. I like that.
Yeah.
Because that just makes the flight on the Beetle so much more like
just great. just great.
Anyway.
Are you? I mean, you're literally picturing the big Beetle from Bug's Life, right?
Yeah,
me too.
Absolutely. All right, so praying mantis, we're back on this boy. Let's just have the saber arms for D6s, and I'd like this patient camouflage. While standing completely still, you're indistinguishable from a tall green plant.
But Jeremy, a thing I realized about patient camouflage: why is that plant wearing a gi?
Dude, I don't know. These are questions that like will come up. Your other equipment. Just leave it as it is. Right up there.
I think it's fine like it is. I think that's just funny.
Clearly, someone must have dropped this gi. And I think, yeah.
And like I said, with all of these, we come back and like work them a little bit over the week. So I think we have some room on probably everything here. Although some of them are pretty tight. I think the bee is tight.
The Mantis is the one that I think needs a little bit something more now that we've... and I think we just change this back to unarmed strike because there's no reason to.
Oh, yeah, it's fine as unarmed strike.
Yeah. Oh, no,
sorry, I'm yawning so much.
If we say simple weapons, they can dual wield them. That's the reason we didn't use unarmed strike.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. So that's actually cool. I like that. And we'll just say simple weapons
with the light,
with which you are proficient. Light, simple. Yeah, so this is good. You can still dual wield with them pretty good. I like that. All right.
I think the only thing we have to figure out on the saber arms is just going back and figuring out how it's going to interact with the other feature, the extra arms feature.
Oh, it's fine. It's just your one set of arms. One of your two sets of arms is blades. That's all. I think pretty simple.
Yeah, fair enough.
Though I still think the Mantis is a bit weak.
Yeah, actually, the Mantis ended up, even though it was like on the border of being one of the most powerful things that have.
Oh, it was on the border between being busted.
But now I agree that it could use one more thing.
Yeah, what's a thing that mantises do? Okay,
They prey.
As an action, you can devour your loved one to regain 10 hit points. No, we can't do that.
I like the idea of it being able to take. Is it opportunity attacks with both arms? She wants to give it two opportunity attacks.
I like it. That's excellent.
But I don't think they're too discreet. When you take an when you take an opportunity attack with a saber arm, you may also take an opportunity attack with your other saber arm. Because we can't give them multiple reactions.
Let's not do that either. Here's the deal. When you take opportunity attacks, the damage die on your saber arms increases to a D.
Wait.
Rather, because I don't want to give them 2 attacks. If we give them 2 attacks, right? Then you got your paladin with your paladin mantis that's just, hi, smite twice. Yeah, right?
Yeah. I was also worried about the rogue and
Yeah, there are a lot of reasons you don't want 2 attacks. But maybe we just make 1 big attack. Would be an option. Or maybe we take maybe instead of changing the damage dice, that's annoying. We take the a leaf out of the Bugbear's book, which has a cool ambusher feature.
Why don't we? Yeah, that was the thing I wanted to do before, and I thought about this a long time ago, and I wanted to give the Mantis a sudden strike, like a.
Well, I think we just call that boom. Instead of surprise attack, we'll call it
sudden strike.
Sudden strike. It's a great name.
That's actually it's pretty good.
If you rather than surprise a creature.
Yeah, I think that's just fine.
Or hit it with an opportunity.
Oh, and it's yeah. Well, I'm fine with it because you can only use the feature once per combat. So 1 per round, doing an extra 2d6 damage.
Well,
maybe if we're gonna do once per combat, instead of saying you can only use it once per combat, you can only use it once per day. And then it ends up being a little bit like Fury of the Small, which I think is fun.
Yeah. Maybe we actually look at Goblin Fury of the Small. Because I think 2d6 is the right number here.
Yeah, that feels right to me.
Once you use it straight, you can't use it again until you finish shorter. And boop.
Fury of the Small. Oh.
That seems really strong, she was saying. Oh, in reference to the 10 feet of reach. Yeah, that'd be pretty mighty. Cool. Yeah, let's just make them bugbears, guys. We're just going to instead reskin the bugbear, and that's going to be this.
The bugbear is really good.
I think we should change patient camouflage now that we're back on this, because it really doesn't say anything mechanically about what it does. Yeah.
I mean, I think you just, while standing completely still, you have advantage to hide in a certain terrain. I think it's just that. Because, I mean...
Well...
Because it's a camouflage,
I love the idea, right, of... You're in, Central City, and the player's like, we need to ambush these people that'll be coming through this town, the square in a minute. Are there any small trees around? Yeah, there's, a line of them along the street. All right, we cut one down, and I stand there. That sounds excellent to me.
I mean, that does sound very delightful. And I think, I would make an argument that if we worded it I would still allow people to do that. Because it's some place that triggered me. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just funny.
Cool. All right, we got this.
The 10.
Oh, we'll just instead of
issue a 10-foot reach with mantises being seen as monks and run attacks get really strong. We don't have that on there, do we?
No, people were suggesting giving it reach.
So
actually, I need to rephrase how this is. If you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, or surprise it. Surprise and hit it with an attack in your first turn in combat. There we go. The attack deals 2d damage. It's a little mouthy, a bit good. I'm gonna have to come out of a way to probably rephrase that a little nicer, but it's not bad.
And I think this is in a much better place than it was a second ago.
Oh yeah. Well, this is now usable instead of kind of not awful, but would be I think the way.
And I think this is the Entothrope.
We did it. We did it, Reddit. Oh god. So,
Jeremy, who are you? First, you're talking about adding 1 AC flat onto things, and then.
Thank you guys for hanging out. Before we kind of pack it in, I think, let's talk a little bit about. I mean, first of all, great job, team. This is rad.
Yeah, this is really good. I think this is just very good. I have a lot of characters that I would want to play immediately looking at this. Like, I don't know, it seems fun.
She was absolutely right. That was a wild ride. Let's talk a little bit about the future, right, for D&D, because I think, in case people have missed it, we've mentioned it a couple times what our plans are for January. You want to start anything, Pete?
No, Jeremy. You got the bigger thing to talk about.
So, starting in January, we might be doing it on the what day? So, as for everyone who's aware, let's start with the basis here. We there's no more D&D time until January. The first week back will be January 4th. So, at the end of December, keep your eyes open for the signups. They'll be on the website. And that will be Pete and Jeremy's D&D time. Besides that, this Wednesday, we're going to be doing a talks about something, I think. And then Friday, we're going to be doing a winter solstice special run by Peter.
Yeah, it should be a grand time. We talked about it very vaguely, Jeremy, and people guessed it, but talks on Wednesday. Did you want to do dragons, or did you have something else in mind we could talk about later?
We're going to talk about it in a minute.
Okay, yeah, sure.
We might do dragons, though. Maybe. Dragons are a big concept. Anyway, dragons. So yeah, Wednesday we're going to do talks. Friday we're going to be doing winter solstice special. It's going to be rad. We're taking a full week off with no D&D time stuff from the 22nd, actually all the way up through the
a couple weeks.
Yeah, almost 2 weeks off. So that's going to be a break. We'll take it. And then, the 4th is Pete and Jeremy's D&D time again. After that, maybe that weekend, maybe the weekend after, I'm going to be starting running Waterdeep Dragon Heist, which is going to be...
Wait, Jeremy, I thought the first... Because we're doing the 21st, I thought the first day back was going to be the 6th, and then they would start off on a Sunday.
The 4th. I thought we were going to do the 4th. Maybe we won't.
We'll talk.
We'll talk.
Yeah, we'll have a confirmed.
We're going to be back in early January. We're going to be running Waterdeep Dragon Heist, which is going to be a fun,
it should be a lot of fun.
adventure. You said the 6th? All right, I messed up, guys. We're back in the 6th with Deep Dragon. It's going to be cool. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm very excited about it, and it should be great. And coming into the new year, we're going to be we're going to be trying to do more campaign-y ongoing stuff. How dare I enjoy the holidays and family time? You're absolutely right, Daly. I should really be ashamed.
And Max Meister, wait, there's a game on the 21st? Yes, it's not a regular Pete and Jeremy's D&D time. It's just going to be me running a one-shot for the Delves crew. So myself, Jeremy, and Card Watch and Farfel and so on and so
and
forth.
Dasher
Dangerous
and
Bacon.
Dancer and Prancer and Vixen.
Danger Owl 5 Bacon.
And yeah, it should be a lot of fun. So yeah, that's really about it. The Waterdeep Dragon Heist will be taking the place of D&D Time Delves. So in the new year, D&D Time Delves is going to be on a hiatus. We may return to it later on, but...
And I imagine there will be times where we do, due to circumstances, we can't do it, so we'll run a Delves because we have like a one day that we need to fill or something like that.
Absolutely. So it's not like Delves are over forever, but they're going to be on hold while we run the campaign. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be really cool. I'm running a kind of remixed version of the adventure. I'm not just running it straight from the book, taking some little concepts from the Alexandrian. He's a blogger guy who talks about D&D adventures and stuff. And yeah, it's going to be really cool. I'm very excited to see where these guys go with this adventure, because it is very open-ended.
I'm excited to play. I'm excited to play in a pre-written adventure. I never have.
Yeah, should be rad.
And from my end, DnDTime Worlds, which finished up season 1. After the break, I'm going to be doing something in the time slot where I was doing Worlds before. I don't know what that's going to be. I might do some more Worlds. I have some other stuff I want to do. I don't want to tell you guys anything right now, because I don't want to say something and then end up changing that due to whatever circumstances of getting it ready. But I have a bunch of ideas and stuff I want to do. So there will be something in that time slot come the new year.
Yep, should be great. Remember to check out the Discord server. That'll be your #1 way to stay tuned and learn about all of our upcoming DnDTime activities. Yeah, we love you guys. Thanks for an amazing year. DnDTime
Indeed
had a pretty crazy year. So
indeed it has. Thank you guys.
With that, tuning out for the year on DnDTime Brews, I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Pete. And this is DnDTime Brews. Good night, everybody.
Wow, bye.